and welcome to another episode of Viva Aaliyah. I'm so excited. We are on episode 10 of season 3. Can you even believe it? We are more than halfway done with this season. We've had 2 incredible seasons and 2.5 incredible seasons, and we are rounding out our 3rd season with some amazing names. Today's interview is a dream interview of mine. She has been an inspiration to me since I started drag in 2005. I have been watching this beautiful woman on stage, on YouTube, on anything I could get my hands on, Continental DVDs, US of A DVDs, and everything in between. She is Miss Gay US of A 1990, Miss Continental 1994, Miss National 1997, and she was a long-standing member of the Baton Show Lounge. She is beyond beautiful and one of the queens of queens in the entertainment industry. We are going to welcome to Viva Aaliyah, Miss Cezanne. Yes, hi, how are you?
I'm good, how are you, sweetheart?
I am so good. I'm so excited for today's interview. You are a legend in my eyes, and somebody that I've always looked up to. You are a strong woman of color and just gave hope for the rest of us that we're out there trying to make our way in the pageant and performance world. And I'm just so happy and so overwhelmed to have you here today.
Well, thank you for asking me. I really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you for being here. I have an important question that I ask everybody on Viva Aaliyah, and that's what's in your glass? What are we drinking today?
Actually, I have 2 things here. I have my water.
Okay.
My water. And I have my glass of sangria.
Okay, sangria. Cheers to sangria. Cheers to you. Thank you. All right. So you are in, yes, a legend. My husband is chiming in. Cezanne is a legend in the community. You are in sunny Florida right now, correct?
Yes, in Melbourne, Florida.
And we were just talking. We actually have hotter weather here in New York City today than you do in Florida.
Yeah, I think you said it was like the 90s. There was just 82, 83 here today, but they're expecting it to rise this next week. So,
yeah, but you've lived all over the country. So, do you prefer the heat of Florida or the 4 seasons?
Truth be told, I actually really do like the 4 seasons. I'm from Kentucky, from Louisville, Kentucky, so I'm used to experiencing all 4 seasons. Of course, I've lived in Chicago, which is, there's only really 2 seasons there, cold and then hot. And of course, here it's just mostly hot all year long, which I would prefer to be warm than cold, but I don't really like hot, like 90 to 99-degree heat. It's stifling, but I can adjust to any place though if I have to.
And where you are in Florida, are you in the more the middle or on like the panhandle or the inner side?
No, I'm on the East Coast. I'm on what they call the Space Coast. I'm right like along where there's Daytona, and then down from Daytona there's Cape Canaveral and Cocoa Beach, and then there's me, and then there's Sebastian on down to Fort Lauderdale, that area. Oh,
wonderful. Okay. Yeah. When next time I'm traveling through Florida, I'll wave to you on my way through.
Please do.
All right, I'm going to jump into the interview because I cannot wait to ask you these questions. So these are all written out by me. Cezanne did not ask me to say any of this. She is a true legend in my eyes. So you are a legend in the community and somebody many of us look up to. What do you hope entertainers in our community take away from your drag career overall?
Oh goodness. I hope that what I would be known for is maybe hopefully humility. I can't say that I've always been a shining beacon of gratitude and good sportsmanship, but for the most part of my career, I think that I've tried to be humble in my achievements and to always try to encourage others along the same path. I was lucky because I achieved winning at an early age, and so I see a lot of girls that run and run and run, and I applaud them, because I don't know that I personally would be able to continue like that. But I think that if it's your dream, then you have to keep going for it and never stop for no reason, if that's what you truly want to achieve.
Since we're talking about you being able to win at a young age, do you have a most memorable crowning moment?
Somebody just asked me this the other day, and I would say, um, I would have to say USA was probably, because it was my first. It was in my hometown of Louisville, Kentucky. I had never made top 10 before, not in USA anyway. And so it was my first. My mom was there. A lot of people that I knew from Louisville came out to see me too. So, yeah, I would think that would be probably. They all hold a special place in my heart, for different reasons. But that being my first, and where it was and the timing of it, I would say that probably holds a very special place in my heart.
So one of my most memorable moments, not of you, but about you, was when Erica Andrews was on stage and she was answering her question, and she said, I want to be like the Mimis, the Cezannes, the Monicas, all of that. And I hold you in that high regard as well. And I know so many of us do. Is there, do you have feelings about you being kind of an icon or a legend to so many of us?
Well, it's hard for me to sit and think of myself in those terms. You know, as you're going through your life, you don't, you're just trying to make it like everybody else. You don't really set out to be you would say an icon or what have you. And I don't know that, that's something for someone else to determine. That's not something that I would ever say about myself, for sure. Sometimes I think the word icon can be thrown around a lot these days, and it's not always warranted. So I would never call myself that myself. I do think that it is nice to have people to look up to, and that have set maybe a certain standard of what people strive to be. But I would always say, don't try to be like me or anyone else. You want to be the best person. You want to be the best you that you can be, because we already have a Cezanne, we have a Mimi, we have those people in the business. We need to see people that are something different. That's what's going to make you stand out from the rest of the crowd, is you being your own self. So that would be my advice, especially to the younger generation. It's wonderful to idolize somebody, but you want to have your own, or make it your own.
It's so funny. I said this to you backstage, and I'm going to continue to say it. That's beautiful advice. And I have only been performing almost 16 years now, and I try to say, when people ask me what's advice you would give to new and upcoming queens, it's always that. Live your own truth. Be your own person on stage. You can look up to somebody, and you can have them be an inspiration to you, but be yourself within that inspiration.
Exactly. Yeah, I was looking at a video the other day of somebody that I idolized when I was really young. And I was looking at them perform, and I thought to myself, "Oh my goodness, that's kind of where I get that hair thing from, from that entertainer." And you pick up things from different people, but like we were saying, you have to make it your own. You don't want to come out and be a carbon copy of anybody. And so yeah.
You have a really great and beautiful and long career in drag. What kept you going? What made you push on in the drag community? I know you're working a kind of like, as some people say, a muggle job now, but you had such a wonderful drag career and continue to when you're on stage. What's kept you in the business so long?
Well, for the time that I was up until 7 years ago, what kept me in the business was I always seemed to land a job at a great establishment from early on. when I very first started. I was lucky to work in places that encouraged me. And like I would say, I never set out to, I didn't know it would be a career. I just said it started out just being fun, basically. And it all just kind of snowballed, and I just went with it. Each place and each step along the way, um, it just snowballed into something that before I knew it, I was in like 29 years, and I'd worked at some of the best bars in the country and some of the best entertainers, and been around the country and the world, seen different things and met great people. And so I guess I would say that kept me going. And for a long time, the money was great. I mean, I was able to support myself for all those years. Um, I mean, I made a great living at it. So, I mean, yeah, it was something that I definitely enjoyed for the most of those 29 years that I was steadily working in bars and clubs and traveling.
You've obviously worked in one of the most well-known establishments in drag, which is the Baton Show Lounge. You were on cast there. You were one of their main girls. And what was that experience like, entering into that venue? And what was the audition process like, and your career there?
Oh my God, it was okay. So I'll give you a little history of me. I know, and this is kind of getting ahead of us in questions because I know you're going to ask me about my start in my drag mom. So back when I was just 18 years old, I lived in Chicago. I didn't know anything. I didn't really know anything about drag. I'd seen a show, but I was underage, so I couldn't really get in. I'd seen one drag show in Tennessee because I went to Western Kentucky University, and that was at the Cabaret. But then I lived in Chicago, and I started working at this place called Market Facts. Excuse me. And the receptionist there was Robin Dupre. And she just kind of took me in under her wing, like a mother would do. And I was one of those kids that just followed her around, and she did shows, and they wouldn't let me in the Baton because I was underage, and they were very strict about that at the time. But then as time went on, like when I did start to do shows, I actually ended up going to the Baton for my 21st birthday. And then, so it was always a dream of mine to work there because from what I could see and what I envisioned, those were the most beautiful girls, and it was a show, and that the costumes, and when you're sitting there in the audience, it all seems much larger than life than what it truly is once I got there. And so then years later, of course, I was first runner-up to Mimi in '92, and with that, they were looking for another girl. And myself and Amy DeMilo were asked to stay after to audition. We had both placed in the top 10, top 5 for sure. And so they'd ask us to stay over and audition, and we did. And luckily, I was good at choreography and picked up really quickly. So they offered me the job, and I moved there in the fall. I moved there, as a matter of fact, on the day that Bill Clinton was elected president in November of 1992. And I went there, and I was very, very scared because, of course, as a young queen, you hear all kinds of stories about what some place is going to be like. But I knew that it was going to change me in ways that I probably hadn't imagined. And it did. I mean, it gave me a polish that I don't think I could have gotten anywhere else. And it didn't come from anything that they did. It came from being around certain types of entertainers, and the 3 nights, working 5 nights a week, 3 shows a night, all these productions and up and down the stairs. I mean, it becomes routine, but as time goes on, you become polished because you are doing it so much, and you see the other girls, and they're so beautiful, and you just want to succeed and make them proud too. So I hope that answered that question.
Yes, absolutely. I'm just soaking it in. Who do you remember who was on cast when you started with you?
When I started, it was Ginger Grant, Chili Pepper, of course, Maya Douglas, Mimi, Monica, Ruby Red was there at the time. Sherry Payne, actually, I came in and I replaced Sherry Payne, but she soon came back to the cast. But that's who was there when I first got there. I was the young, I wasn't the youngest, but I was the new girl. I remember at first, I always had to you had to go with the newest one in the cast always went first. You know, it'd be the production, then Ginger, and if you were new, you were then first. So you just had to learn to get it together and what kind of numbers to do that you could get into quick. I mean, it was a great training ground. I mean, after I worked there, I felt like I could work any place.
Was that your first cast spot at the?
No, I started out right off the bat working on cast shows. My first cast show actually was the Downtowner in Louisville, Kentucky. I started drag in 1986. I began doing shows in January of 86, and by March or April of that year, I was on cast at that bar.
Wow.
I didn't play around, honey. I was ready to make moves.
Yes, I love that. What this is the question that you kind of alluded a little bit to. Who gave Cezanne the start? What was early Cezanne like, and who was your drag mother?
Well, the Hoop really put me together for first time. You know, we all get to. A lot of our stories start out. It was Halloween, and me and my friends, we got in drag and went out to the bar. That is very true. The first time I was ever in drag was the scenario. We went out on Halloween, and I think we went to the DAV and picked up some crap and just did whatever. But then later on, I wanted to be serious, and so in January, I was in hair school at the time, and I had a good friend. His name was Melvin Brown. His stage name was Honey Barbecue, but she was like, "I can make you pretty," and I was like, "Oh," and I didn't think, I never thought about I would be pretty or anything like that. And looking back now, I'm sure I was not pretty at all. But that night when we sat in my apartment, smoked some weed and drank and listened to Sade records, and he had painted me, and I looked in the mirror and I was like, "Oh my God." I couldn't believe it. I had, as a kid, all growing up, had done things like played in my mom's makeup and dressed up in her, all the little things that we do that we don't know what we're doing actually, but it's really kind of preparing us for this career. But yeah, he did that, and after that, I was kind of hooked, and from there, I wanted to be on stage, and like I said, it just snowballed. And then I would say my drag mom would be Robin Dupre, but I've had a lot of aunties and mentors and mother figures that along the way have encouraged me or shown me favor to make my life better. For their encouragement or even just helping me, like Natasha Edwards, she took me to Atlanta with her when I needed a job and didn't have one. And so yeah, I've had
Wow.
Yeah.
You were quick with that one.
Yeah, he turned it. He did say he was quick.
Wow. Too. You look so beautiful, both of you.
Yeah, that was back in probably like 1988, 89, I believe. Yeah, she took me to Atlanta. I had moved to Indianapolis to work at this club called the 21 Club. And I was there for maybe 3 months, and they closed because they were going to supposedly move to a new location. But they never did. And she had an opportunity in Atlanta and said, "Girl, come go with me. I'll help you out." And luckily there was a spot in the bar there, so I got hired. And yeah, the rest I say is history.
I'm gonna ask you a question that I didn't send you. When preparing for pageants, did you have kind of like obviously my audience knows I'm going into EOY, and audience, I have asked Cezanne at the end of this interview to ask me a couple questions, which she agreed to, so I'm very excited for that. But when you prepare for a pageant, do you have a process? Do you have kind of like a way you put together your package, or do you kind of just start?
Well, usually for me, back when I would want to enter a pageant, I always kind of start off. I get like a legal pad and like a folder or a notebook, and for like ever how much time I have, like say I'm contemplating this a year from now. I'm going to do a pageant next year. Well, what I will do is start to immediately look for in magazines for looks that are um, of today. You want to because you want to be kind of current on what I mean, back then you did. It's a little different these days, but you'd want to be kind of current with what your fashions would be. So I would put together like a legal pad of each category and what I would need for each category and what I wanted to do, what I wanted to look like, what the talent would be. And I would go from there and I would just anything and everything that I would think of, I would write down on those pieces of paper. As a matter of fact, I still have a lot of those old notepads here in my house and old pictures and stuff that I've collected from things that I thought I might do eventually, but now I don't. But I'm a pack rat, so I still have a lot of those things. But that's how I get myself together for a pageant usually.
So the Cezanne Museum is in your house.
Child, yes, and I keep trying to tell myself that I'm gonna get rid of this mess because ain't nobody gonna want to see this mess once I'm gone.
Oh my God. The second you said it, I was like, I'm on my way. I want to see all of it. Yes, this iconic Billie Holiday photo of you. You look so stunning. So when you were preparing and you were in your competing prime, who were your go-tos for like gown designers, hair designers, jewelry designers?
Well, let me see. Back in the early days, like especially like back in when I was first starting like USA, I was naive about fashion and I didn't really know much about. So I would say that I would just go to, I think I would say I probably was on more like the committee type thing, or I had like folks help me decide things, or someone would bring me something like that. But then as I got like by the time I did continent, by the time I won that I went back to Continental and was first runner up, I had a better repertoire of folks that I knew. And back then too, back in those days, we didn't have the social media because, you could wear things more than once. For example, the year I entered 92, when I was at Continental, the gown I wore for evening gown was something I borrowed from a girl from Texas, Denise Fairchild. You could never, ever do that now. But she was sweet enough to let me rent it from her for that. But and then once I was going for other things, I used Franklin Betancourt for a lot of my costumes. He did my gown for Continental. He did a lot of my Janet costumes back in the day. And then, of course, I worked at the Baton. So Kim Cleveland she did my hair. Actually, before I ever went Continental, when I first got there, she like took me and helped me with my makeup. And when I was saying, getting to the Baton, you're kind of like, you're polished. Well, you get this like, there's a camaraderie there and they all kind of not telling you what to do, but they'll like suggest, oh girl, you should try this. And Kim was very instrumental in helping me with my hair and my makeup and even music and stuff. She was a good source of knowledge on all those things.
Were there I guess
my makeup for that.
There you are.
And that's a Franklin Betancourt costume too.
So I guess what you had said is something that strikes me a little, which is that we can jump on social media now. I can message the Nova Stars, the Michael Egners, all of that for jewelry, or I can jump on Facebook and message Q of Atlanta for some hair. Back then, it was word of mouth, I'm assuming, and obviously phone calls.
It was, I mean, some of the people that you're mentioning, they were around back then too. Getting their start like now, a lot of those people that are doing hair and makeup now, they were starting out back then too. But now it's so much more, it's so much more of a business for a lot of people. So now you have makeup artists that are on speed dial. You have hairdressers that on your speed dial. You have photographers. You have even you have like what's the word I'm looking for? Stylist. You know, people that will, you know, so you have a lot of resources that if you put, you know, certain girls, you know, if you've got a great team together, then that's can be a winning team, you know. It's very different than back in the day, you know. But I'm sure it's just as fun. I don't know. I'm not going to try it myself. I'm
No
done pageants
in the future for Cezanne?
Oh, child, no more pageants for me for sure. I sometimes, I mean, I still get the urge to perform, and I do sometimes feel the need to want to like be on stage or to do a heart-wrenching ballad just to get it out of my system. But to do it on a regular basis, I don't think that's not for me anymore. I did the steady work as a showgirl, you know, in shows that were like 5 nights a week and 3 nights a week and rehearsals and all that. And that's enough. I've had enough of that. But I wouldn't mind at one point, you know, at some point, maybe doing special guests here or there, or, you know, like, especially like at times when my like anniversaries are going to come up, I'll probably try to attend those type things. But yeah.
Well, we can't wait to see you. We're going to take a very quick break and then come back with more questions with Cezanne. I will see you here in just a minute. And here's a word from about our sponsors.
Viva Aaliyah is proudly sponsored by Big Girl Nails by Coco. For all of your nail needs, check out at Big Girl Nails by Coco on Instagram. Viva Aaliyah is proudly sponsored by Fierce Drag Jewels. For all of your sparkly needs, check out fiercedragjewels.com. Fierce Drag Jewels is also the crown and jewelry sponsor for the Viva Entertainer Pageant 2021.
All right. Once again, we are back. We have the stunning, amazing, beyond wonderful, and may I say, well-worded and just all around amazing Cezanne. So we're going to bring her back to the screen. Thank you again for being with us. Dominic, if a comment comes in from, actually, let me just look really quick. I can see these. I just want to see if somebody has commented in that Tiffany Middlesex said she was going to watch tonight. And so I wanted to make sure that if her comment came in, we gave it some recognition, but she has not commented in yet. So, all right, back to the questions. Oh yes, Tajma Stetson, also a former Miss Gay United States. Hi, Cezanne and Aaliyah. Hi, Taj. Sophia McIntosh. Yes.
Hey, sister girl.
Hi, Miss Sophia. I would love to have you on the show. You are a hoot. And
yes, she is. I've known Miss Sophia since, oh my God, back in the early 90s. We've known each other. We've been sisters a long, long time, honey.
I had the privilege of hosting Liberty Continental with Sophia, and I am usually not afraid to go on the microphone at all. But after she went on, I was like, we're just going to run through town and not try and crack a joke because she cracked them all.
Yes, she's a wonderful MC.
She is wonderful. So I have a question for you. You're one of my favorite entertainers again, and you've always been a leader for whether this has been a part of your journey personally or not. You've always been a leader for minority teens, and you have such a great career as a woman of color. What do you feel like it was harder for you competing or getting into showcasts or anything like that?
Oh, I don't know. I don't necessarily think that I had it necessarily difficult or anything being a woman of color. And I'm going to say that probably has to do because I'm a lighter skinned Black girl. I didn't have some of the issues, especially. But I will say that for me, and I can only talk about my own experiences. I kind of felt when I was in Louisville first starting out and entering pageants and stuff, I kind of felt that if I wanted to make a name for myself, that I wasn't going to be able to stay in Kentucky, in Kentucky. That if I was going to be nationally known, I didn't feel like I could achieve that being based in Louisville, Kentucky, or in Kentucky, period. And that is what it is.
Yeah. Do you have again, this kind of goes with what I asked you earlier, but I'm going to ask it again. Do you have feelings about being kind of a figurehead for queens of color or anything like that? I mean, I'm a Latina or a Latinx person and an Indigenous person, and even I'm not a Black woman or a Black man, and I still you are such an inspiration to me as a Latinx person.
Well, here's the thing. I guess I can say I never thought of myself that way. Like I never thought of myself as being a barrier breaker or anything like that. But I had issues in the sense that, like back in the early days when I would enter, because I'm a former Miss Black America, also Black America in 1992. But I remember when I first entered some of the pageants when I lived in Atlanta, some of the local pageants. And when I first entered Miss Black America back in like 1980, I don't even know, 87, 80, one of the first ones I ever entered. I don't know, it had to have been 80, it had to be 89 actually. Excuse me, 88 or 89. There was a situation where some of the people thought I wasn't Black enough to enter that pageant. So I never have taken any of it for granted. I've always believed in myself as a person. So I never, if there was a barrier, I didn't let it hold me back. I didn't let it detain me from getting where I wanted to go. I would just go through it or over it or around it or smash it.
Smash it. Yes. I love that you said that. I had kind of the same experience when I competed in the Latin system. So they said, "Are you sure you don't look Latin enough? You're not speaking enough Spanish." And I was like, "Well, I can carry on a conversation with you, so I think I'm good."
Right.
And I grew up in a Mexican household, so I think I'm okay. If you were to be able to give advice, you said a little bit about this earlier to up and coming entertainers. You talked about being yourself, but if you could give advice as far as competition, let's take it on that route to new and up and coming entertainers, what would you say?
I would say, like we were saying earlier, get yourself a great team of people that were going to tell you the truth, that aren't going to just fill your head with, "Oh, you're the most beautiful, you're the most sickening." You need people around you that are going to be open and honest with you. We all want to hear, "Oh, you're the most beautiful, you're the most fabulous." But for me, I always took that strangely. I wanted folks to tell me the truth. I don't, too much smoke make your head too big, and no one wants a conceited queen. So I would just say, especially in competing these days, get yourself a good team. Know your history of the pageant you're entering. know the rules and regulations. I would go back and look at videotapes of the past winners. All those things are, I mean, those are the things that we used to do too. Of course, there's so much more to see now, but back in my day, you would, if you get one tape, you would take that tape and you would be like, it'd be like the Holy Grail. You would just watch it and watch it and watch it. But now, like I was at Shauna Brooks not too long ago, and we were sitting there and she just had all these different pageants just streaming. I mean, I was amazed. I'm not very, like I was telling you earlier, I'm not very technologically savvy with computers and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not good at that, but that's the best thing I would say for the young people. Get to do your homework. Don't go broke for the pageant. You know, make sure you have a good budget. But don't spend your rent money and lose your house and all that stuff just to go for a pageant.
Yeah, pay that rent first, and then, ooh, another pageant photo of you.
Yeah.
Which pageant? Do you remember which pageant that was from?
That was from Miss Continental '92 when I was first alternate to Mimi.
I thought that looked familiar.
Yeah.
Who was dancing with you?
His name was George Javara. He was a wonderful, wonderful choreographer. Unfortunately, he passed away many years ago now. But yeah, he was a wonderful friend and a great dancer. And he was one of those people that brought out that danced in me that helped me be better. He challenged my abilities with that choreography. And it did me well because I got to first runner-up, and I won Miss Black America with that talent too.
So I'm sorry I missed this in my reading of everything. So US of A, 1990. You basically had a title almost every 2 years. You had 1990 US of A, 1992 MBA, Continental 94, and then National 1997.
97, and then I was Miss Universal Show Queen of Hawaii in 96.
Okay.
96,
so
yeah.
You really did have every 2 years.
Yes, honey, I ruled the 90s.
You sure did. Which is when I was starting to pay attention to. Jennifer Fox, my favorite people.
I love her. She's wonderful.
So
I've
nice.
had the pleasure of working with her, meeting her several times when I used to go to Detroit.
She is one of my favorite people of all time. She is just in Paris, France. Love you both. Hi, Paris.
Hey, sister.
See you again. And then, Dominic, if Tiffany messages in, it's under Gerald Myers, I believe. So, is there anything coming up for Cezanne? What can we look out for? Are you having an itch to get on stage?
I am having an itch, but I told myself that what I'm going to do is have some things made, some new things made, so that when I do decide to do something, I'll have something that I'll be excited to wear. So at this moment in time, I don't have anything on my schedule as far as any kind of performance things. I do know that next year, 2022, it'll be my 30-year anniversary for Miss Black America. So hopefully I will be able to attend that. I wasn't able to go to my 30-year for Miss USA because that was last year with the COVID situation. So,
are they going to be celebrating it this year then?
I'm sorry?
Are they going to be celebrating it the next year then?
At USA, you mean?
Yeah.
Hopefully, yeah. Yeah. Hopefully I'll get to go.
I love that.
Yeah.
And then we would love to see you in New York. You just let me know, and we will try.
Oh my God, I haven't been to New York in ages.
The last I knew, I'm still hosting Liberty Continental, so we can always use in my words, as you said, I will put the words out there. An icon like you, we would love to have you here. All right, we are going to turn the tables. I have asked Cezanne to ask me 2 questions about pageantry, about EOY, or anything she wants to ask me, and I'm going to turn it on you. Turn the hosting seat over to you.
Okay. I tried to jot down a quick little question. It's probably cliche, but it's something that probably will be asked of you at some point during the competition. What can you bring to the system that they have not seen already?
That's a really good question. At heart, I'm a Latin showgirl, and I bring my showgirlness out in my voice. And I don't think that Entertainer of the Year has had a voice like mine yet. I know Angelique Ali was a very prominent queen in the Entertainer of the Year system, and she won with her voice. But I don't believe that they see a voice like mine. And I really, during my reign, I also really love to represent the underrepresented. I do that a lot in my work. I work for a nonprofit that raises scholarship funds for underprivileged LGBT communities. And so I'm going to look out for those queens that haven't had a voice for them in the past. And I'm going to give them the confidence, hopefully, and let them know that they're worth the title too.
That's good. Okay, question number 2. Who do you think is your biggest competition?
For this year, honestly, I would say Paris Campbell. She's been to that competition many, many times, and she has made first alternate. She made first alternate the last time she went, and she's been studying and had this time to reflect on her scores before. And I think that she's the one. She's one of the ones to be. I would also say Tori Sapp. She's been at EOY many a times, and she's been in that top 5. So there's 2, but you never know. At competitions, there's always somebody that can come out from under the crowd and just surprise.
True.
So, but my person to beat is me. I will have competition, but my person to beat is me.
That's the answer I was looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I try not to worry about what other people are doing.
Well, you can't.
Yeah, I think it's at that point, somebody could tell me their entire package, but I'm not going to do their package like they're going to do, and they're not going to do my package like I'm going to do. So why worry about it?
You can't worry about things you can't control.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you can't control what somebody else is going to do.
Yeah. So I think there is competition, but the person that I'm going to beat is myself.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for those questions. I really appreciate it. If you have another one, that would be wonderful. If not, then I felt the joy that you asked me to.
I don't have any more. If I thought about it, I would have tried to write something down. When I judge, usually, whenever I judge something, I'm that person that has to write things down ahead of time because
Me too.
I'm old and my mind is not what it used to be. So,
I don't believe that for a second. You are young and beautiful.
Well, your eyesight isn't as good as it used to be. I'm telling you. But thank you.
Vivas, I want to say a huge thank you to our guest this week. This is Cezanne. She is a legend in the community. If you have not followed her, go ahead. Her Instagram and Facebook are down below her photo. She is a legend in the community. Again, a former Miss Continental, US of A, National, Black America, and I'm missing one, right?
USA, Black America, Continental, Universal Show Queen.
Universal Show Queen, that's the one. I don't know why.
National, and Miss Florida, and Miss Florida.
And Miss Florida, yes. That's Marshall's pageant, correct?
That's what?
Is that Marshall's pageant, Marshall Welch?
No. That's Heart of Florida. I'm Miss Florida FFI. That's the long-standing traditional Miss Florida that's been around for over 40. I think it's 43 years. I could be wrong, but it's yeah.
Wow. You are just a wonderful person to talk to. Thank you for taking time for me. I will chat with you in the back end of the show, but I'm going to say goodbye to the audience, and everybody give a very Viva everything to Cezanne. Thank you for being here.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me. Bye, everybody.
See you in a second. Wow. What an amazing show. Obviously, I was stumbling on my words at the end because I'm so overwhelmed with and so happy that I got to speak to Cezanne. She is just somebody I look up to so much. Next week, we are going to be chatting with the new daddy of nightlife in New York City. That is Frankie Sharp. He is opening up a 5-story club in New York, and he will tell us all about it next week. But until then, I will see you around. I'm so happy. I'm so fulfilled. I'm so just in love with everything that happened today. And I will see you then. Viva Aaliyah.